At the beginning of the story, we see a family living happily together, unaware that within a few minutes, something terrifying is about to happen to them. While the husband and wife are busy talking, they suddenly hear people screaming and shouting outside. When they step out of their house, they see chaos everywhere. People running away, leaving their homes behind, as if something terrible is about to occur. Jason and Beth notice that their neighbors are also panicking and hastily packing up to leave. Jason asks one of them what's going on, why everyone is leaving their homes, but they are in such a rush that no one answers him. Then Jason notices the neighbor's son packing his bag. When Jason asks the boy where they're going, the boy replies that his father's friend is a government officer, and he said a deadly virus has spread, one that turns normal humans into monsters. Just then, the boy's mother appears, grabs his hand, and starts pulling him away. Jason asks her what kind of virus her son is talking about. The woman replies, "This isn't the time to explain. Take your wife and daughter and get out of this city as soon as you can." Hearing this, Jason and Beth become terrified. Without wasting a moment, Jason puts his family in the car and starts driving out of the city. But on the way, they notice that the same people who were fleeing earlier are now returning. This makes them even more confused. A little further ahead, they get stuck in traffic. When Jason and his family step out of the car, they see that the only road out of the city has been blocked by the police. Helicopters are patrolling the sky, and officials announce that a dangerous virus has spread in the city. Everyone must go back to their homes immediately. Jason feels something isn't right. If a virus has really spread in the city, then why are people being told to go back instead of being evacuated? Suddenly, a massive rock falls from a nearby hill and crashes onto their car. They panic as the ground trembles. Then, from behind the hill, 2 military fighter jets emerge and head straight toward the city. Moments later, the jets begin dropping bombs, turning the entire city into ashes. Beth immediately realizes that if they had listened to the police and gone back home, their fate would have been far worse. The fighter jets started moving toward the people on the road. Seeing this, panic spread everywhere. Now everyone understood, the government was trying to kill them. People began running in every direction, desperate to save their lives. But Jason and Beth realized that no matter where they ran, those fighter jets would eventually find and kill them. Then Beth turned around and noticed a school on the hill behind them. She thought that maybe it could be a safer place to hide. Without wasting time, Jason, Beth, and their daughter Joey started climbing up toward the school. Behind them, the jets began dropping bombs on the bridge where hundreds of people were trapped. The three of them ran as fast as they could and finally reached the school. Luckily, they found a tunnel there. Just a few seconds before another explosion, they quickly rushed inside. As soon as the bunker door closed, a massive blast shook the ground above them. But thankfully, they were deep underground, safe from the explosion. Still, they couldn't understand. What kind of virus was this that the government had to kill an entire city to stop it? Nothing made sense. The only thing they knew now was that if they wanted to survive, they had to stay hidden quietly inside the bunker. But one big question haunted them. How long could they live down here, and what would they do for food and water? Fortunately, there was a large stock of expired food stored inside, enough to last the three of them for a long time. Beth was deeply worried. She kept thinking about her daughter, Joey. What if she got sick? What would they do then? And while closing the bunker door, Beth had injured her hand badly. She and Jason were also afraid that the deadly virus might have infected them too. But this wasn't the time to think about that. They had to make the bunker as secure as possible so that no one could open the door from above. Jason used heavy iron chains to lock it tightly and decided that they would live here in hiding. But living underground wasn't easy. Every day felt the same, eating the same tasteless food, drinking muddy water, and passing time playing cards. Their connection to the outside world was completely gone. After many days, life inside the bunker started to feel unbearable. Yet, they had no choice. Stepping outside meant certain death. This life made Jason's family feel like they were living through the end of the world. One day, Joey asked her father, "Dad, how long will we stay here?" Jason had no answer. He just said softly, "When the virus outside is gone, we'll go out." He placed his fingers gently over her eyes and asked her to imagine what the world outside might look like. Days passed, then months. Without realizing it, they had spent over 300 days inside that bunker. Joey used a periscope her mother had made to look at the outside world. What she saw was horrifying. Destruction everywhere, the entire world reduced to ashes. There wasn't a single sign of human life left. Seeing all this, the little girl began to think that maybe they were the last people left in the world. Her mother comforted her, saying, "Don't think like that. Maybe your friends are hiding somewhere just like us." Night fell, and it was time for dinner. Their food supplies were running dangerously low, so the three of them were eating smaller portions to make it last longer. But tonight, at Joey's insistence, they gave her a full can to eat. When Joey opened it, she found it completely empty. There was a tiny hole on the backside of the tin. Something had eaten through it and stolen the food inside. Alarmed, Beth quickly checked the remaining cans. 12 of them were completely empty. Seeing this, they were horrified. Those cans were supposed to last them for 2 more weeks. Jason looked toward the ventilation grate and guessed that maybe a rat had gotten inside and stolen their food. Beth said that if it was really a rat, they'd have to kill it soon. Otherwise, it would ruin all their remaining supplies. Seeing his daughter's sad face, Jason tried to comfort her. "Don't worry about small things," he said softly. "Even if our food runs out, I'll go up and bring more." The next day, while Joey was playing with her mother using wooden blocks, they suddenly heard a faint sound behind them. When Joey turned around, she saw that the rat had come back again to steal from the food tins. Before it could escape, Joey quickly called out for her parents. They had decided that this time, they would kill it no matter what. Jason grabbed a knife in anger and moved forward to cut it to pieces. But the tiny rat was incredibly fast. It dodged Jason's attack and darted away, knocking over the lantern from the table. Just as it was about to dive into its hole, Beth lunged forward and killed it. They all sighed in relief and celebrated for a second, but on the other side, the fallen lantern had started a small fire. Jason rushed to pick it up, but it was too hot to touch. His hand burned badly, and the lantern's glass shattered, spreading the flames across the table. Beth tore down a curtain and tried to smother the fire, while Jason fetched half a bucket of water from the tap and threw it over the flames. Somehow, they managed to extinguish the fire, but their troubles were far from over. The fire was gone, but the smoke had filled the entire bunker. It began slowly escaping through the ventilation grate above. Seeing this, they all froze in fear. That smoke could reveal their hiding place to anyone outside. They sat completely still, holding their breath. Jason whispered, "Maybe the darkness of night will hide the smoke, and no one will notice us." The three of them stayed awake the whole night, terrified. The next morning, to make sure everything was fine, they looked outside through the periscope, and what they saw made their hearts sink. A thick cloud of smoke was still rising above the ground. Panic spread among them. They were certain now, their secret hiding place had been discovered. Beth said, "If there's smoke, there must be ashes. Someone could investigate and find the entrance." So they decided they had to clean up the ashes outside. Before leaving, Jason told his daughter Joey, "Promise me, no matter what happens, no matter what you hear outside, you must not come out." After making her promise, they unchained the bunker door, listened carefully to the sounds above, and when they were sure it was quiet, both of them slowly stepped outside. Now Joey was left alone inside. She waited for her parents to return, but after a long time, when they didn't come back, she climbed up on a stool and looked through the periscope. She finally spotted her parents outside, trying to cover the bunker's entrance with dirt and branches. But then Joey saw something that froze her blood, a dark, shadowy figure moving rapidly through the forest toward them. She screamed for her father to look behind him, but the distance was too great. Her parents couldn't hear her. Panicking, the little girl forgot her fear and climbed up the ladder to get out of the bunker. As soon as she came outside, she realized her parents were no longer there. In distress, she began shouting their names, calling out for them again and again. Suddenly, someone grabbed her from behind and covered her mouth. It was her mother. Just seconds later, a herd of wild deer ran past them at full speed. They barely escaped being trampled. But Beth's fear only grew stronger. The deer were clearly running away from something dangerous. Realizing the threat, all three of them rushed back toward the bunker and got inside quickly. Jason closed the bunker door, sealed it with wooden planks, and wrapped the iron chains tightly again. He told everyone to stay absolutely silent. Then they heard faint footsteps above. Someone, or something, was walking over the bunker. It sounded like it was circling near the door. The three of them quietly moved farther inside, away from the entrance, hoping that whatever was above wouldn't notice them. Joey started crying in fear, and Beth hushed her immediately. "If it hears us," she whispered, "we're finished." They had already moved deep inside when Joey's doll got caught on a screw sticking out of the wall. The screw began to loosen slowly. Jason and Beth froze. That string was connected to the doll's sound switch. Before they could stop it, the screw popped free, and suddenly the doll started making loud noises. Jason quickly grabbed the doll, tore it apart, and smashed the speaker inside. But it was too late. Whatever was above them had already heard. Their location had been discovered. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed from above, followed by heavy footsteps that stopped right over the bunker door. Whatever it was, it had finally found their hiding place and was now trying to break in. It pushed the metal lid with great force, and even though the door was locked with heavy chains, the danger was clear. The creature knew someone was down there. The door held for a few seconds, but against that terrifying strength, the chains started snapping one by one. Jason realized the door wouldn't hold much longer. He rushed to the corner, grabbed the water pump pipe, and began pulling it loose. Beth, showing incredible courage, climbed up the ladder and used all her weight to pull down on the chain, trying to keep the door shut. But even then, the iron lid began to lift slightly. Then, suddenly, a dark shadow appeared above the door. Its eyes glowed like light bulbs. It was as if death itself was staring down at them. Without thinking, Jason swung the metal pipe at it, hitting the creature hard and knocking it backward. He quickly jammed the pipe into the door frame, forcing it shut again. The creature ran off into the darkness, but Jason's hands were trembling violently. He finally understood that the world above wasn't just full of ruthless soldiers. There were real monsters out there too. The family sat quietly by the stairs, hopeless and shaken. Their hiding place was no longer secret. It was only a matter of time before another attack came, and next time, there would be more of them. Moments later, the cupboard began to shake. Jason and Beth realized it had called the others. Soon, loud footsteps echoed from above, like thousands of creatures running over their heads. Then they all gathered at the bunker door. The sound of pounding began, stronger than before. The reinforced iron door finally gave way and crashed to the ground. Dozens of glowing eyes stared down into the darkness. Terrified, Jason, Beth, and Joey ran deeper inside, but the monsters followed. Beth threw an oil lamp, setting fire to the curtain between them and the creatures, and together they pushed a cupboard to block the passage. They ran further into the bunker, knowing this barrier wouldn't hold for long. There was no escape. Just then, Joey spotted a small ventilation duct in the floor. Jason smashed it open and, using all his strength, pushed his wife and daughter through it. But when he tried to crawl out himself, the narrow space trapped him. Behind him, the creatures were closing in. Desperate, Jason dislocated his shoulder with a crack, screaming in pain, but somehow managed to squeeze through the vent. Beth pulled with all her might to drag him out. He was almost free when a massive creature grabbed his leg. Jason instantly knew he couldn't survive this time. Looking into his wife's eyes, he said, "No matter what happens, don't let anything happen to Joey." The next second, the monster yanked him back into the bunker. But Jason didn't scream for help. Instead, he roared in defiance, "Come on! Let's see what you've got." Beth and Joey looked down to see the bunker filled with sounds of violent struggle and screams. Beth realized Jason was fighting to give them time to escape. Holding her daughter tightly, she ran as far as she could, away from the horror. When they finally reached the outer edge of the city, they saw something shocking. A tall wall now surrounded everything. The highway that once led to freedom was gone. No one could leave the city anymore. Just then, a helicopter appeared in the distance. Beth turned and saw an army chopper flying straight toward them. It shined a bright spotlight over their heads. Before they could run, a huge net dropped down, trapping both of them inside. They struggled desperately to escape, but the net was too strong. Through the gaps, Beth saw dark figures with glowing green eyes approaching. That's when the truth was finally revealed. The figures they had thought were monsters, the ones with glowing yellow eyes and guns, weren't aliens or infected creatures at all. They were military soldiers wearing gas masks and night vision goggles. The strange glow they saw was just the reflection from their equipment. But the real question remained, Why were these soldiers hunting them? Soon, Beth and Joey were completely in the soldiers' control. One of them took out a large syringe and injected both of them in the neck. After testing their blood, they discovered the truth. Both were infected with a deadly virus. That meant they were considered a threat to humanity and had to be eliminated. When the virus had first spread, many people in the small city had already been exposed. It was an airborne virus, spreading quickly from one person to another. Most infected people didn't even know they were sick. And since the government had no cure or antidote, the only solution they saw was total eradication, killing everyone who was infected. Beth cried and begged, "Please, let my daughter go." But when she realized they wouldn't even spare her little girl, something inside her broke. Her eyes turned dark, black veins spread across her skin, and her anger exploded. Before she could attack, a soldier's neck suddenly burst open, blood spraying everywhere. It was Jason. He hadn't died in the bunker. He had lost control and killed all the soldiers there. Now, he had transformed, his body stronger, his eyes burning red with fury. He was no longer human. Jason attacked the soldiers, tearing through them one by one, but he couldn't withstand their bullets for long. He was hit multiple times and fell to the ground. As the soldiers moved toward Beth and Joey, the two had already managed to break free from the net. They ran in different directions as gunfire echoed behind them. The soldiers chased them, unaware that Beth had now fully transformed into a monstrous form herself. She hid Joey inside an abandoned car and then charged at the soldiers, killing several before being shot down. From inside the car, Joey saw everything. Watching her parents suffer and die filled her with uncontrollable rage. She leapt out, tackled a soldier, ripped off his mask, and was about to kill him when Beth, barely alive, stopped her. Beth didn't want her daughter to become a monster too. She calmed Joey down, and slowly the green veins on Joey's skin faded. She was human again. But the soldier's luck had run out. His mask was broken, and within moments, he became infected himself. Jason's condition was critical. Looking at his daughter one last time, he gently placed his fingers over her eyes, the same way he used to, and then closed his own forever. At that moment, another helicopter arrived. Beth, carrying Joey, ran as fast as she could. They slipped through piles of debris and found a hidden tunnel. Inside, a light shone on their faces. It was the same little neighbor boy they had seen at the beginning of the story. They followed him into a cave-like tunnel where his parents and several others were hiding. It turned out that all of them were infected too. To survive, they had been living underground, like rats in the dark. The virus was dangerous, but not entirely deadly. It only took control of a person when they were afraid or when they lost control of their anger. These survivors had learned to master their emotions, to stay calm and human. They had thought the soldiers were the monsters. But in reality, they were the infected ones. And with that, the story comes to an end.